The following program is brought to you by Fanbags Cornhole, Chicago's official supplier of professional cornhole boards and bags. Choose from any of their officially licensed designs or have my boy Brian design a custom set using anything from a selfie to your company's logo. Visit www.fanbagscornhole.com and use the promo code BRAGS to get 10% off your entire order. That's www.fanbagscornhole.com and use the promo code BRAGS for 10% off. Step up your game with Fanbags Cornhole.
It's Zach Eady with Purdue men's basketball, and you're watching Boilers in the Stands.
Welcome back to Boilers in the Stands post-game show. I am your host, Greg Braggs Jr. Alongside me, as always, is our guys, Joe Jackson and Kraig Bowers. Ladies and gentlemen, your Purdue Boilermakers are going to the national championship. It's an unbelievable feeling. It's an odd feeling. We'll get into the game. It wasn't exactly a perfect game by any means by Purdue, but this team just wins the war of attrition time and again. And Mike Carmen in the house. So we're here till Monday, ladies and gentlemen, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Get a day to reset. And Purdue, like I said, didn't play their best effort. We'll get into some different things. Turnovers certainly need to get cleaned up. But guess what? Maybe, just maybe, Purdue has their best game left yet. Maybe that's what's in the bag. And, other than that, enjoy it, Boilers fans. Your Purdue Boilermakers are in the national championship. I can't say it enough. What a ride this has been. There's only one game left in the season, and Purdue's playing in it.
Yeah.
So, Kraig, I'm going to throw it to you, my friend. It's an exciting time for Boiler fans.
No, it's just an absolutely amazing moment. As somebody who's watched this team with memories going back into the early 80s and through the Three Amigos and all the way up through all those different teams here, for them to be able to watch that same team achieve a chance to play for a national title this year is just off the charts. Amazing. I always talk about this era being the golden era of Purdue basketball, but the one thing it was missing was a Final Four qualification and then a chance to play for a national title, and they've got that on Monday. And even if they don't win, it's probably still the golden era of Purdue basketball right now, but if they do win, definitely cements it as that exactly.
Yeah, this this game exemplifies what March is, right? It is 46 in 40-minute battles in a row, and none of them have to be alike, none of them have to be similar. They can all be in so different fashions. We see the Tennessee game where Edey goes for 40 and he gets what he wants, and they can't shoot the ball from at all. Today, Purdue shoots 40% from three. Braden Smith has probably his worst half, maybe in a Purdue uniform, in that first half, and but it doesn't matter. They're able to get things done. They're able to win. The defense was great throughout a lot of this game, and it really just it allowed them to have these lapses offensively, and it didn't matter because the defense was there, and that's where, at the end of the day, they're going to be one more game, and whether it be UConn or Bama, this game, in terms of playing to the next, it doesn't mean a whole lot because it's going to come out, and we're going to see what happens, and I'm excited to see what happens because it is unreal that Purdue is at the point that they are.
And it's a surreal feeling, and we're going to get into the surreal feeling of being in an NFL stadium watching a basketball game. I had a chance to talk to Mason Gillis about those kind of adjustments, and I'll tell you about that here in a minute. But when you get through the gauntlet of Gonzaga and Tennessee in Detroit, it felt a lot different than today's game. Granted, this is an 11 seed, and at the end of the day, Purdue was playing with their food. So when we did our post-game show against Tennessee, and I'm bawling my eyes out because Robbie Hummel's bawling his eyes out. Everybody's, in this emotion, this emotional state, and rightfully so, this euphoric state that we were in. Now all of a sudden it's like a reset. Today was like any regular outside of the arena that they were in, which definitely was unique. It was kind of like running it back to just a regular basketball game that we like, just what we've seen so many times in the Big Ten, and it didn't, NC State obviously, is an 11 seed for a reason. They're not one of the top teams in the country. And today they showed that in some ways because, Purdue really was trying to do everything they could to let them in it, but it just didn't have the same vibe that the Tennessee game did. And I don't know, maybe it's just because they, got over that hump and now it's like a reset of the mindset. And now you can empty the tank here on Monday night against, and I kind of slipped up because I talked to Braden Smith in the locker room and I was like, you guys could be considered the underdog going into Monday night's game. Oh yeah, by the way, UConn's got to play this game first, but he still answered the question because that'll be a unique situation if they do indeed play at UConn, which we're getting ahead of ourselves. They still got to play this game, but they haven't been an underdog in 4 years, it feels like. So that could potentially be, what they're, going to be on Monday. And Braden embraces that role. That's who he is. And that's kind of what his answer was to that question. So, like I said, it's an empty the tank situation on Monday. But yeah, we can get into the game and break it down because we want to try to go quick with this post-game show. We're going to do our best to do a show tomorrow, a preview show for Monday night's tilt. And, once we get a chance to watch this team, we'll give you guys, everything we got in terms of content in a show. We're going to give you a healthy show here today, but let's run through some things because at the end of the day, hey, this was light work for Purdue. Now we got the granddaddy of them all here come Monday night.
Yeah, and so two things. One, Braggs, just over your shoulders. I don't know if you want to be cognizant of that.
I noticed it. I mean, I think we're okay, but I can't turn. Go ahead, guys.
Just wanted to throw it out there. But this was, I didn't expect it to maybe be this low scoring of a game in terms of 63-50. But I mean, this was kind of what I've been saying for all week is like Purdue's gonna. I guess they're up 6 at half. I said 2-4, and then they're just. It's gonna be what it was. It felt like it was always gonna be one of those games where Purdue was never really their NC State had a couple runs, but you're never like really concerned in the second half for the most part. Maybe barring one NC State run somewhere in there, and then Purdue just kind of wins by 13, and even that probably could have been 16-17. They play a little bit of that Ole defense towards the end, which is fine, whatever. This just goes back to like. Purdue wears teams down for 40 minutes. It's what they do. If you do not play well for 40 minutes, you're most likely going to lose to Purdue because even if Purdue doesn't play well for 20 minutes, their playing well for 20 minutes is going to be better than yours. And that's going to result in a lot of wins. And that's what's able to happen here. Purdue did a great job of shutting out everybody except for DJ Horn. And if DJ Horn goes, I mean, he had 20 and he still went 8 for 21 from the field. He had to work hard for his shots too. Kraig, I don't know if you're there. You are. You're starting to be. You were frozen, but I think you're good. Maybe I was.
Well,
frozen.
You were freezing up on my. You were frozen on my screen, so our Wi-Fi just may not be the best down here in terms of the connection. But no, I agree completely with everything that you're saying. I think another thing, when you look at this game, Zach still had a ton of points and a ton of rebounds, but struggled in this game in terms of just turning the ball over too many times. We saw Braden struggle from the floor shooting and too many turnovers as well. And a lot of the questions about this Purdue team was, is there enough around your two stars? And in reality, right, it was everybody else around those guys that helped them end up pulling this game out. Lance with a bunch of really key clutch threes and a clutch mid-range. Fletcher hitting some big-time threes. Mason hitting some big-time threes. TKR with offensive rebounding and putbacks and just some killer post moves that we know he has in his game. To me, this is a story about the supporting cast around the two stars as much as it is anything else today. And then Lance making Horn a very inefficient 20-point scorer. Like, he didn't hold him down, but he made him inefficient.
Was Lance the best player on the court tonight?
He probably was. If he didn't have that one play where he like goes all friggin' road runner and then loses the ball just completely out of bounds with nobody touching it, I would definitely agree with you. But there's that one like major hiccup. But in terms of for who they are, where they played to the level that they normally play, Lance exceeded his normal level, I think, more so than anybody else did on the court today for Purdue.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, I'm sorry, can you guys hear me?
You hear me? I was just
okay.
I have a board ready whenever.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say the other thing that really stood out to me in this game was, maybe the whistle leveled out in the second half, but there was a stretch where it was almost 8 or 9 minutes where the whistle was not blown. It got through the 16-minute timeout and the 12-minute timeout before there was a stoppage of play. And that's why when Zach had his free throws after there was finally a whistle, that they had to have back-to-back timeouts in between Zach's free throws. I don't think we've seen a game all year where a whistle wasn't blown in a Purdue game. I mean, that was just bizarre to see. And DJ Burns was gassed. I mean, Zach Edey, I'm sure, was tired too, but you could definitely see it on DJ Burns. And so I found that interesting that, I don't know who the officiating crew will be for Monday night, but the term letting them play, or however you want to phrase it, they were letting things go. I mean, I guess I'd have to go back and watch the TV tape because your eyesight point is different on a football field watching a basketball game, but it was bizarre to not hear a whistle blown for that long a stretch in the first half.
Oh, no doubt.
Crazy.
No doubt.
Everybody out there was gassed.
Yeah,
everybody.
Yeah. I'm old enough to remember when some people, not going to call any names out anywhere, but I'm old enough to remember when some people said that Lance Jones would be the reason that Purdue lost an NCAA tournament game. He's the reason, one of the major reasons that they're going to the national championship games today.
Yeah, he's one of them, and I know you want to get to the board, and we definitely want to see it. I promise you. The other we have to, before we get to the board, though, we have to mention Fletcher Lawyer. Yes, big game Fletch. He was the other part of it. When you talk about supporting cast, like the Tennessee game and this game, Fletcher Lawyer, in the moments where the game was still in the balance or they were being pressed, he hits the big shot. He gets the crowd going. And so Fletcher Lawyer, man, he's got some onions, baby. Onions.
Yeah, he really does. Like, this was because there were some comments saying that maybe Lawyer played better than Jones, and I can get behind that to a degree. He did his job defensively. I think he had a much easier defensive matchup than Lance Jones, but he was on Morcell for most of the game. 0 points for Morcell. Probably was on Taylor a little bit. He got a couple buckets, but yeah, I mean, for Lawyer, this was just it wasn't the Tennessee 27 points, and it was just just throwing his body out there and getting buckets, but big shots in big moments, big plays, some defensive plays too on top of that. Purdue does not win. Purdue doesn't win for sure without Fletch and Jones today. They might lose by
no doubt.
And this show doesn't win without X's and O's with Joe. Action Jackson. We got to see it. The Emmy award-winning segment that everyone tunes in for. Joe makes us smarter every single day. Women are throwing themselves at him now in the stands because of his genius prowess. Yes, Kraig. And I would throw myself at Joe as well for his geniusness. This man is a man of many talents. As I continue to delay this, as Joe wants to do the X's and O's. Go ahead.
Do you hear me if I'm like this?
Yes.
Okay. So I wanted to bring it up because it relates to the posting with Edey, and we kind of brought it back with Lawyer. That's why I wanted to bring it up when I did. NC State did such a good job of is when Edey catches it, once he makes that dribble is when they would then dig down and kind of attack. And so you saw like probably 2 or 3 turnovers because of this. And it's because this defender right here is pushing Edey out, and then this defender is digging in at the same time as Edey's going this way, right? And so when it's here, he's going into that defender. But there's 2 things that Purdue did to be able to adjust to it, right? So when they get the ball, the one is they have this guy cut through. And so when this guy cuts through, now look at all this space over here that Edey has to work with. And so you saw them get a couple buckets with it. The other thing, and I believe Gillis for sure hit one. I believe Lawyer hit one too, because Edey had 4 assists in this game. The other thing that they do is when this happens, so say Lawyer throws it in from here or Gillis, both of them can do it. This ball goes in, they immediately cut to this corner. And so now, right, their defender who's digging in here, he has a longer way to get back to that corner. And so now Edey, once he dribbles, he has a double team. This guy moves down to this corner. I know for a fact Gillis hit one, and I'm pretty confident Lawyer hit at least one. And so it's just all about the spacing. And I think at times Purdue got rushed into the kind of the spacing that they didn't want in terms of Edey. NC State did a good job of kind of getting down in. But Purdue makes the adjustment of either opening up this entire side of the court to let Edey really go one-on-one. That's when you saw Middlebrooks. He fouled once immediately, and then another time, I know right after Edey scored. Or they do this thing, and Gillis and Lawyer are the prime examples where they just drift to this corner. And so now this pass is much, much easier for Edey, and also this defender's out of position. So big time, and I mean big time shots too, right? From both Lawyer and Gillis in those spots you get the look and you have to execute and knock them down, and they took advantage and did it.
Yeah, no doubt. And some really cool play designs there. And I think from a defensive side of things, just in general, NC State kind of threw the kitchen sink at Purdue today. They did different things to Braden. They did different things in terms of just trying to get the ball up the court defensively. They gave Zach different looks. Zach talked about that they tried to defend him differently at different points and times during the game, and he didn't do a good job adjusting and tried to force things a few times when he shouldn't have, which led to some of those turnovers. But, I mean, credit to NC State for their defensive game plan because, I mean, obviously they forced 16 turnovers. 3 of those were really, really late in the game when Purdue was just trying to run the shot clock down and then chuck something up right at the end or whatever. But, I mean, credit to them because they came out with a really nice defensive game plan. I can't remember. I'm going to look right now. I don't know the last time Purdue only scored 63 points.
I'm trying to look in terms of efficiency. It was their second least efficient offensive game of the entire season. The only one that was worse was the first Tennessee matchup. But on the other end, it was their third best defensive performance. The other 2 were Samford and Jacksonville.
And then I think the other aspect is how many turnovers did they have in the first half? 13? 10? And 10. Then they finished with 15?
Oh, no, they had 8 in the first half.
Only 8?
Half, 8 in the second
that surprises me. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, because it felt like they weren't turning it over as much in the second half, but at the same time, I guess the lead was so big, like by the end, if they turned it over.
Like Craig said, that was the last couple minutes.
Yeah. That was the lowest point scored of the season by Purdue, 63. Their next closest was 67.
And you know what's funny is when we were hanging out at Carousel, which we will be back there on Monday, and shout out to everybody that came out to Carousel.
We're going back tonight.
We'll be back there tonight, of course, but the official pregame meetup, we're running it back Monday. I'll talk to Scott, the owner of Carousel. He has another bar like right in the same alley called Bodega, and I think they're going to open both restaurants to Purdue fans, so that way everyone can get a seat, everyone can get their drinks. There was 1,000 people in Carousel today, so shout out to every single one of you that came out. That was unreal. But the reason I bring that up is because when we were there, I kind of said to a few people, I'm like, I almost hope they shoot poorly and win, because I want them to save their best for last. And I got my wish, even though I was stressing like hell the first 5 to 7 minutes of the second half. But there we go. I guess I got my wish. What goes up must come down. And they haven't shot the ball that well here the last couple games and still have won. And it just goes to show you how many times, I'm a broken record here on the show, but it just continues to hold true. They are so hard to beat. You need so many things to go right if you're the opposing team to beat Purdue. And if they're not shooting well, because I saw a preview on the flight here at 6 a.m. Sports Center, they were saying, I think the key to this game is turnovers for Purdue. If they turn the ball over more than 13 times, that's when they lose. And that's the truth. They've only lost a couple times, but that's one of the common denominators when they play other teams. The other one being the other team shoots from three like crazy, but they turn the ball over a ton and they still win convincingly. They don't shoot the ball well the last two games. They still win, and it doesn't come down to the last second. So, if they could just find a way to pitch a perfect game, and they have it in them. So, it won't be easy. Alabama and UConn are battling it out 15-15 with 12 and a half minutes to go or so. I know you guys are a little ahead of me. I'm watching on my iPad.
Greg, I didn't even think they shot that poorly, honestly. They shot 40% from three. It was just the fact that they didn't get shots up because they turned the ball over 16 times. To your point, though, about winning a game at a high turnover, you got to remember, too, they turned NC State over 13 times. So take away those two jump turnovers at the very end of the game, and Purdue's only -1 on the turnover margin on the night. So, which is rare. We don't normally turn teams over that much. So I'm sorry.
Well, both teams played.
They had 11. They had 11 turnovers, so it would have been -3.
I mean, again, and we haven't gotten into the environment, but it was a sloppy basketball game for both teams. Like weird turnovers for both teams where they just fumble over themselves, trip over themselves, lose the ball without anyone touching them. That happened time and again today for both teams. So I think maybe there were some nerves in it. I think it's an adjustment playing on this elevated court. It's awkward. I talked to Mason Gillis about this, and he said, yeah, it was an adjustment when they came out for shoot-arounds for the first time, and you start to get more and more used to it, but the sight lines is an adjustment. The sound, I talked about the sound with him because to me, just being in the stands, like I can understand how the sight lines throw you off, but the sound, I wasn't expecting the sound to be so different than what you're used to. And I asked him, I was like, this may be a silly question, but does it affect you guys in any way? And he goes, yeah, it's a little harder for us to communicate and call our sets. He's like, we read from a board most times, but we still got to communicate it with each other who didn't see it flash by PJ Thompson typically. So, there's just so many little things that are unique to playing in this kind of an arena when they've played in basketball arenas all season long. So I think that played into even the two backcourts by Braden. Like I felt like it was just this court. Part of it feels like it was just like not being comfortable with this court. I know it sounds stupid, but like it just was awkward. So maybe they get some of that out of their system here come Monday.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was just, it's so weird, even just sitting there watching in this football stadium, and you're on an elevated court. You have it's just all these weird sight lines and backgrounds, and even the noise, like you said, in terms of communicating, but even like I, from where I was sitting, which is, I was behind the basket on the side that Purdue's bench was. And so like, that was the Purdue side. And so like in my side, it was really loud for Purdue, but it was like NC State fans were so far away. I couldn't like I think they were loud, but I was so far away. It like doesn't travel. And I'm sure that they had the same kind of thoughts for the other side too, right? Where it's just like the sound from Purdue didn't travel like that. It's a weird game. I'm glad that they will have, they have 40 minutes of experience with it now, and whoever they play also will, but that's pretty valuable experience.
And I'll say this too.
Sorry, go ahead. We see this a lot of times historically, that first game in that football stadium environment is rough for everybody. Now, Alabama is just shooting the absolute leather off the ball right now, so I don't know that that's the case for them, but it's not atypical as teams try to adjust to this setting to see that in the first game and then the second game to be completely different.
Yeah. And then, so to me, the other thing about the fans, and then we'll take a quick commercial break before we get into some of the player breakdowns or however we want to finish this post game, as we're about halfway through the first half and we've got our eye on it here on the TV. But the other thing in terms of the fans were there was a ton of NC State fans here, a ton. So I don't know exactly how that changes here come Monday, because typically when you buy these tickets, you might buy sessions for today and Monday. So it'll be interesting to see, but I'll give NC State fans a lot of credit. I thought it would be a complete Purdue takeover in this stadium, but it was pretty split down the middle here. And NC State's fans, I was kind of more middle court. I thought they made their presence felt. And Purdue fans, I thought, got loud at times. You know how hard I am at times on the fans, but I need a little more from you on Monday night, fans. Okay, a little more. It's empty the tank for the team. It's empty the tank for the fans. So I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, I don't think it was split even. I think it's distorted because Alabama's red too. So as you looked up, and it was
That's
like half black, half red.
And the whole state and the stadium's red because it's Arizona Cardinals too.
Right. Yep. So I think that's a little bit distorted, but
yeah, that's
they
fair.
certainly showed out more than I expected, for sure. 100%. So do we want to read these super chats before we do the ad quick?
Yeah, let's read a couple of these super chats here. Chris R, $1.99 super chat. We appreciate all you guys and your support. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out here. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Chris R, $1.99 super chat. Boiler up. Survived the Hack-a-Zack no call game. Definitely the whistle wasn't what we're used to hearing, in most Purdue basketball games. David Hart, $10 super chat. Washington Husky fans now living in Wisconsin, but having been rooting for Purdue all year, congrats for the great season, and please do what the Badgers couldn't in 2015 and win it all. We're definitely trying here. Big Ten trying to get over the hump and win their first national championship since the Michigan State Spartans, correct, in 2000 with Mateen Cleaves.
Yeah.
So Brian Bennett, 1999 super chat. This super chat is dedicated to Joe's X's and O's, the educational segment that makes us smarter fans. National title game, baby. Boiler up. A national championship Joe's X's and O's edition. Sign me up. Sign me up. Thank you, Brian, for the super chat.
I was just gonna say after the game, let's say if Purdue wins, everybody's going to be so hyped. And then I'll come on here and be like, well, Purdue executed their Chicago action pretty well, and they're able to generate good looks, and that's our show right there.
Yep. Let's take a quick shout out to Autograph. Let's take a quick shout out to Autograph here. We're having a little bit of choppy Wi-Fi. I'm not sure who's seeing it on whose end, but it's okay. We'll work through it. But let's give a quick shout out to Autograph here.
Yeah, so for anybody that is new, Autograph is an app where you can get kind of all of your Purdue content in one specific spot. It is completely free to use. Use code BITS when you sign in. We'll throw up a QR code in just a second where you can scan. It's on Apple and Android. So you get all your Purdue content in one specific app, whether it be us or just basically anybody else that you already listen to, read their articles, stuff like that. And then you can get rewarded. So there's rewards for interacting with others, with interacting for articles, podcasts, things like that. You can use those to enter raffles. They've also had a ton of ticket giveaway type things where tickets go for like $16 a piece. So just tons of good deals. Reward you for being a fan that you already are. Completely free. Use code BITS. We'll throw up the QR code right now, which you can scan and then use, like I said, Apple and Android. So we appreciate Autograph working with us.
Yeah, 100%. Use that QR code. Shout out to Autograph. It's been a lot of fun having them on board all the way to the national championship. When they asked to, jump on board with us, I was like, well, we'll just have to see how deep they go in March and April. And here we are in the national championship. Your Purdue Boilermakers. First time since, Kraig?
1980.
1980.
The championship that year.
What's that? Oh, wait. No, I was thinking Final Four.
Yeah.
Was it 1969?
Well, you're the historian. You're the historian of the podcast. We're the two young bucks who just.
My brother in Christ, I was not born in 1969 yet.
Nancy Williams, shout out to Autograph. She won a $200 at-home tailgate party from the restaurant of her choice. Love the app. There you go. Everybody's dropping the moon landing in 1969 and Purdue basketball in the
when Purdue
national
did it.
championship. And then I guess some astronaut that graduated from Purdue came back
Just came
from outer
back,
space
yeah.
today. He like landed, like I think he like parachuted down from space and like landed somewhere. So see, he came back for Purdue to get to the national championship. There you go. All right, let's get into it.
Can I kind of take this somewhere?
Yes, you take it.
Because I want to go to the defense. We haven't talked about it too much. This was a really good defensive game from Purdue. Now, some of it is NC State lives and dies by the jumper in this game, and they took 12 shots at the rim. 3 of those I think were against kind of the Olay defense come down the stretch. So we'll say 9 shots at the rim the entire game. When you take that means what they took. I can do quick math. They took 45 jumpers, floaters, whatever. And so you're going to have some natural variance in that where you knock down a few in a row, you go on a run, or the other side where you miss a ton in a row. And it's just like, oh, well, this is unfortunate. And that's where two things. NC State, one, they couldn't take advantage of some of these Purdue lapses because of just like their inability to knock down a jumper at times. DJ Horn had 20 points on 21 shots. Their next highest scorer was Jaden Taylor, who had 11 on 10 shots. DJ Burns had 8 points on 10 shots, and he had 2 turnovers, only 4 assists, only 4 assists because he's a very good passer. This was just a very good defensive game, and so, I mean, I have something on the board if we want to go to it. If not, it's okay. Just like how something that NC State went to a lot of trying to get to that mid-range. And I think that was part of their game plan too, of just, we're going to shoot the jumpers and we're going to trust our guys to make them. Purdue is completely content living with that and having teams just not try 80. And I mean, if they go on one of those streaks, like a Jalen Hood-Schifino type streak, then we're probably talking a lot differently right now. But that's the other flip to it. They shoot 36% from the field, 26% from 3, 11 turnovers, only 6 offensive rebounds. It's hard to be Purdue that way.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean,
we have
Purdue's going to force teams in. Yeah, Purdue's going to force some. Teams into that mid range. That's what they want to do. That's what Painter always wants to do. And tonight it worked because they shot a really low percentage from that standpoint. So the Wi-Fi situation in here is a little bit untenable. I think we all keep freezing up a little bit on and off, and then there's definitely lag as well.
We'll make the best of it. We're making the best of it here. As UConn is tied up 24-24 here with around 9 minutes to go here in the game. I just think it's just interesting to see this team fight the war of attrition time and again. You know, and when you talk about who they're gonna, I mean, if they play Alabama, Purdue has played Alabama before, so there's a familiarity there. But if they play UConn, and UConn has just looked so good these last 2 years, beating every team by double digits, but at the same time, as we go through with every single team,
my name isn't Kraig Bowers, but
this is Patrick Crawford, assistant athletic director, right? Is that your official title?
I go by many names.
Boiler up.
You guys have a good
Let's
show.
go.
Okay?
Appreciate that.
Always. We appreciate you. I am going to pass out probably at some point. I am running on complete fumes from this day. Getting in, having to wake up at 3 a.m. and get on a flight, and I'm just trying to get my thoughts collected. It's been a whirlwind of a day, and Carousel was unbelievable, so much fun. But and now we're through this and excited to reset and be ready here on Monday. So, like I said, just winning that war of attrition time and again is what is most impressive to me about this team. And so, you know, if they end up playing UConn, which again, we don't know. Alabama's giving them a good fight here in the first half, but UConn always seems to turn on the Jets to start the second half. Most of these games they've had here. But UConn hasn't played Purdue, so you just don't know how they're going to look when you go up against a guy like Zach Edey. I mean, look at DJ Burns today. All the talk in the week talking about how they were going to go up against DJ Burns. They had Trey Kaufman-Renn on them, which that was something we talked about, Joe, in our preview, and we weren't anticipating that. I mean, more importantly, you weren't anticipating that. So that was Painter throwing a little bit. Kraig was anticipating it, and that's why he's the man of wisdom here on this show. And so that was a surprise. But then DJ Burns, he talked a little bit of smack going into the game. I'm not going to say he talked a lot of smack, but talked about his scoring prowess, and he didn't have a very good game. Now, granted, he was in foul trouble, but again, it's totally different. He's had a great month and a half here, but then when you go up against Zach Edey and Trey Kaufman-Renn for that matter, it's a totally different ball game.
Yeah, I mean, Burns, like I said, 8 points on 10 shots, and this is where Purdue starts with their defense of just forcing baseline with TKR, and that was, I think, by design to keep Edey out of foul trouble, not even put him in the opportunity to pick up any sort of foul. And so I understand the decision there. It worked out. Burns did burn him, I think, twice on passes out of that really quick, but you just kind of keep working and keep going. And then once Edey was matched up, that's when you saw Purdue stayed one-on-one for the most part and just said, big fella, just go over Edey. He hit a jumper. He hit a 13-foot hook shot somewhere in there, I'm pretty sure. And that's because Burns is a very good basketball player. But it's tough to go at Edey every single time. It really, really is. And then when he wasn't going at Edey, it was going at a double team into Edey. And so I think just a really good defensive game plan from Purdue. When Edey stays one-on-one, you can stay with the shooters, not allow them to get clean looks. When you do double force baseline like they did, you're basically daring Burns to beat you as a passer. When you're really the only guard that could score for NC State consistently was Horn, that's going to be a pretty good result most times.
Kraig, you have anything to add to that?
I was actually going to pull up 2 more super chats because we got 2 awesome ones in here. One from Water Napple, a new fan from Illinois that just committed to Purdue. I'm assuming to go as a student for college. I'm glad that they get to be spoiled like this. It's not fair. Whoever you are, whatever your real name is, it's not fair. You didn't have to live through the years before this, but it's awesome that you get to experience this right away. And then we got an awesome $40 super chat from Chris Kender. I've watched every post game this year. The least I could do is tip $1 a game, +1 for Monday's game and another for good measure. Thank you for all your hard work. These are the days we'll tell our grandkids about. Boiler up. Thank you so much, Chris. If anybody else wants to take Chris's lead, hey, have at it.
Yeah. No, we appreciate everyone's support for sure. It means all the world to us. You guys is, helping us grow this, and what we saw at Carousel today was just an unbelievable turnout, and it's just makes us hungry to do more and more. So, you guys are amazing. So I think the other aspect of the DJ Burns equation was Zach Edey being able to score on their bigs, specifically DJ Burns. Like, as we were all wondering how much DJ Burns would be able to push him off his spot and keep him away from the rim, Zach was still able to get consistent post position, and even in the times he didn't, he was able to get his shot over him because DJ Burns wasn't able to get up high enough to affect his shot, and Zach looked pretty comfortable throughout the day for the most part. Once he went up for it, he did lose a few getting stripped, but once he actually went up with the shot, it felt like he had a pretty clean day.
Yeah, 9 of 14 from the field on the day. Did have the 5 turnovers, and that's where the strips come in, combined with NC State being able to kind of push him out. And they did a good job. I thought specifically Middlebrooks, he did a pretty good job on Edey. He really did.
Yeah.
But when it was Burns one-on-one, that's when, and even Middlebrooks to a degree, but Burns especially, when it was one-on-one and Edey was able to get into that shot, like you said, he could just go over. And he hit a couple tough ones. He hit a couple left-handed hooks. He hit a couple that were, I think, pretty deep, a couple falling away. 9 of 14 from the field. This is an Edey game. He has 20 and 12, only 2 free throws, so they can't say anything like that. He hit some tough ones. He got some easy ones in there too, but there was a couple I was just really, really impressed with.
Yeah, we got another super chat in here from Cameron Gerber, $49.99. Thanks, guys, for the amazing Purdue coverage this year. Go Boilers. Braggs, looking forward to the Caleb Williams show this upcoming this fall. Cheers, guys, and everyone here. Appreciate everybody. This year is looking up, ladies and gentlemen. Not too bad. Purdue in the national championship, and in 2 weeks, Caleb Williams becomes a Chicago Bear. And Kraig, maybe, just maybe, this will be the difference. Maybe with Purdue being in the national championship, and maybe the Bears actually get a quarterback right for once, but we shall see. So all right, well, let's continue to roll through this. Like I said, as the first half starting to get closer to halftime here. So I'll leave this up to you guys where you guys want to take this.
Do we want to? Is there more defensively we want to talk about? We talked about.
I mean, somebody did ask on the board if you had anything. I don't know if there's anything board worthy for the defense, but that's totally up to you.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. This is how we win Emmys, ladies and gentlemen. $10 super chat from my guy from Crown Point, Mr. Duncan Kesar. Boiler up from CP. Region made. Let's go. Purdue class of 88. We appreciate you. X's and O's with the Joe.
Yeah, so going back to DJ Horn, who was their scorer, right? 20 points on 21 shots. They went to this action a lot. So this is Purdue's defensively, and this is just zoom action, Chicago action. Purdue fans should be pretty familiar with this. It's just this pin down into a handoff. And so they'd run this usually with their big, especially Burns, who kind of would be up here. He's able to trail, get into the spot. And so it's just, this is Lance Jones generally. This is just all on him being able to stay connected to Horn and try to force a tough shot. Because Edie's going to be here. He's going to be in his drop coverage, right? So as Horn comes off of the screen, Edie's going to be here. He's taking away the rim. That's what he does. He takes away here and forces these mid-range shots. So the difference between an open and a contested shot is always going to be this defender. Can he get through these screens? Can he stay connected and get an angle to go here? Sometimes you'll get a little bit of help here. We call this like help at the nail and be able to contest this a little bit, but they don't want to give the kick out three. They'd rather have them take these long mid-range pull-ups. Horns you saw knock down a few, and they were able to go on a little bit of run. But at the same time, I thought Jones did, for the most part, a pretty good job of getting through the stuff actually and trying to just kind of force these contested shots. And this is just basic zoom Chicago action that even Purdue runs a ton too.
Yeah, 100%. They just did a nice job of adjusting. I can't wait to see the hype video and hear what Painter had to say at halftime to those guys, because it seemed like the message was received.
Yeah, for sure. Did you have something,
I think
Kraig?
maybe just roll to a couple of the other players. We thought we might see a little bit more from Cam and Miles in this game, just with how the matchup was going to be. And in the end, we didn't. I think together they played less than 10 minutes in this game. Neither of them scored in this game. Doesn't mean, obviously, they were extremely valuable up to this point. I think there's a decent chance they might be really, really valuable in the national championship game. But Painter obviously saw something out there today where he thought he needed to roll with the starting five and with Gillis. And outside of that, just kind of keep it at a 6-man rotation. But, Mason Gillis, I thought, was just huge with those 2 early threes that he had. And then I think he hits another one, right? No, he ends up 2 of 5. 2 of 5, knocks down both of his free throws. Great free throw shooting night. They didn't shoot a ton, but they shoot 90% from the line. And I thought Trey Kaufman-Renn, it was, both of the fours had really good games in their own way in terms of contributing. And I thought Trey was huge with some offensive rebounds early on, a couple of putbacks, had some really nice post moves. More importantly, maybe for Trey, he gets to the free throw line 4 times. He hits 3 out of those 4. That's always kind of a question mark with him. None of them put up a bunch of points, right? I think Fletch and Jones and Edie were the only ones in double digits, but I thought both of them were extremely, extremely important to Purdue winning this game.
Yeah, David Jenkins in the chat saying Mason was a steadying influence. He really was. I thought he had a great game, knocking down some big threes and, continues to just fight and make things difficult on guys and being the glue guy that he is. So, Joe, did you have anything to add to that?
No, I thought TKR had a solid game, and he's only 2 or 5 from the field, 4 rebounds, which is a big thing. You got to rebound the ball well. But he was just aggressive. I think I wish that they had the stats. I think they have it somewhere of like how many fouls you draw, but I don't see it anywhere. Unless this is it. Either way, TKR drew maybe like 4 or 5 fouls, it felt like, too. And that's big in terms of I think it got Burns out of rhythm early. He picked up 2 sometime in the second half, picked up 3 early in the first half, picked up his 3rd early in the second half. And it wasn't like their bigs were ever in deep foul trouble, right? Nobody had more than 3 fouls, but just kind of being able to be aggressive. He was good on the boards early, and Purdue dominated the boards early, like absolutely dominated. And they won the rebounding battle in general, right? They won it 41-28. They won offensive 11-6, but TCAR was a big part in that, and just being that physical body down there when NC State was playing 2 bigs for pretty much this whole game.
Yeah, you're right about that. I mean, the daggers always continue to happen off of offensive rebounds. If you let Purdue get second and third chance opportunities, someone is going to spray open, and typically it's Fletcher Lawyer. It feels like, so you gotta if you're gonna get dominated on the glass, you can't get dominated by Purdue getting offensive glass rebounds, because those just become killers, just absolute killers. And in a lot of ways, sometimes can make up for, turnovers too. I mean, there was a point where they missed a 2, they got the rebound, and Lance ended up hitting a 3. And that was like a big moment. It was, I think, in the first half. You got that stop, and all of a sudden, wasn't it in the first half, Kraig?
Yeah, that was off the Braden Smith missed dunk, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, man! Wide open breakaway, and he lets them catch up to him. Braden had a really abysmal first half. Abysmal.
Yeah. This probably was his worst half of the season. And one of his worst games of the season, and Purdue's still able to win by 13. I think a lot of it was kind of just self-enforced, of like stupid little turnovers, making reads he doesn't usually make. NC State did a good job pressuring him too and pushing him out to half court. I'm not taking away from them, but a lot of it just seems like this is not who Braden Smith is, like, at all. And it gives me confidence that he can bounce back, but we'll see what happens Monday.
Yeah, we definitely will. So we're approaching we just passed the 45-minute mark here on the show. There's about 6 minutes left here in the first half. So let's start to round third here on the show. Again, Wi-Fi has been a little shoddy. We're all 3 of us. I mean, I'm just speaking for myself here. Kraig looks like he can go another 12 rounds, but me, I'm exhausted. So for anybody that if I'm not giving my best effort here in terms of our post-game show, I want to apologize to everybody, but it has been just an ass whooping of a day. And so we're grinding through, as we always do for you guys. We love you guys, but we do want to reset so we can watch this second half and really get to understand who Purdue's going to play. And it's a good game. So it looks like we're going to have a good finish here in the second half. So let's start to round third here on the show, and we'll try to come back to you guys tomorrow for a preview show when we've kind of reset our, batteries a little bit, charged our batteries up. And but it's exciting, man. Purdue's in the national championship, so enjoy this one. Have a little fun tonight, and then eyes on Monday.
Yeah, let's maybe go to the comments, get through the rest of the comments, and then call it good.
Yes, sir. We got a $10 super chat from Eric Moore. Great shows all season. Love watching you guys. Boiler class of 84. Boiler the fuck up. We appreciate you. I've said it time and again. Yeah, that's right. I'm cursing here in the media room. I don't care.
My mom is going to call and yell at me for your cursing.
My mom also listens to this.
Okay, I'm sorry. My mom listens to this too. So yeah, and I also want to just say, for everybody that just loves this show, and I've said it to a lot of people here today, and I'm not blowing smoke on these two, and I mean this when I say this. Like last year, was kind of these guys getting acclimated to what we're doing here, but this year they have carried me all season long. When I've been doing a lot of stuff with Chicago Bears stuff, as anybody that watches this show, a lot knows, and these two have been all-stars all year long, and everybody I've been talking to, rightfully so. Joe, Kraig, you guys have a lot you guys should be proud of yourselves for all the work you guys are doing here, what you're doing on Feed the Post, what Kraig's doing on Boiler Diehards on Facebook. I truly mean it when I say this. You guys are all-stars. You guys make this post-game show. Last year to this year, you guys are now carrying me, and I'm just trying not to hold this down. So congrats to you guys. To me, as far as Kraig, and I said this to him on Facebook, and I want to say it here on the show, in my opinion, just from being around this Purdue program, and there's a lot of people who've been around this and season ticket holders for a long time, but for me, nobody deserves what's going to happen here on Monday more than Kraig. He's been around this for a long time, and I'm happy for you. And Joe, you know how many times we tell you you're the all-star, and so I truly mean it when I say, great job all season long, and I'm just happy that we get a national championship game to cover. This is going to be awesome. This is what we've been waiting for. This is what we've been working for the last few years. So my hat's off to you two for absolutely killing it this year. And you're not done yet, Joe, because you got to put your Feed the Post preview upload up. You got a lot of work to do. So don't take my gassing and take the day off. Get to work tomorrow. Bill in the chat. It's 1969 all over again. I was 13. Now I am 67. We just want this too much. They're going to be hungry on Monday. They're going to be hungry. Jimmy Pepper, I imagine you all will talk about this, but it felt like to me while we had a bunch of turnovers, they tended to be more dead ball turnovers. We were able to set our defense and make stops. Would you agree with that, guys?
We did not touch on that, but that is true. Brain Smith had the 2 over and back type calls. Let's see. I could tell you the exact number. They ended up with 8, so about 50% were live ball turnovers, 50% were dead ball turnovers. That is important in terms of NC State not being able to get out and run, because that's when they generally was off of turnovers.
Yep. Abby Strange here in the chat. The carousel again on Monday. Yes, indeed. We don't have any official graphic, but we will here soon. We'll put it out on social media and stuff, but I'll effort what time they're going to open. Will just be based off what time the national championship game is. Does anybody know what time the national championship game is? Somebody in the chat.
9:20 Eastern time.
So that means
6:20 Pacific.
6:20. So I doubt it's going to open.
I think they were talking about starting it at 2 or 3 when I was in there, and he was giving out instructions on Monday. So,
well, that's just unacceptable.
Nobody is happier about Purdue making the national championship that isn't a Purdue fan than the owner of the Carousel Bar right now.
Yes,
they were hyped about the fact that Purdue was expected to win this game.
Yeah, and shout out to those guys and the entire staff there. They killed it today. It was a lot of work, and shout out to those guys. So we will be back at the carousel, and we will have some QR code tickets once we put them out on social media. So you guys got to be ready for it, because I know there was a lot of walk-ups waiting in line, but you can get if we can get some QR code tickets turned around here in the next day, you got to be ready for them and be tuned in to our Twitter account and our Facebook account for those updates. And then we will also probably announce something about that on our show tomorrow, preview show tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. Matthew Gregory, shout out to my guy who I'm staying with here down in Arizona, saving me a few bucks, and he was a big help here today as well at Carousel, taking care of some of the VIPs that came out. And shout out to those guys, some of the former players. It was cool to see Grady Eifert and Ryan Klein and Ryan Smith and Dakota Mathias. They were all at the party today. I mean, it was a pretty wild scene, and thousands of Boilers fans. Just a lot of fun. Somebody in the chat asking, why is Braggs the only one with the tan? Well, I was at Wrigley on Friday, and it was really sunny out in the bleachers, and that's why I have a tan. It's not because I got it here.
And also, you go golfing once a week and call it work. So yeah, that's true. And Joe, is
extremely. Do you see my hair color? Like, what am I supposed to do here?
Yeah. Well, I'm Irish, but somehow I got the olive skin. Dag Down, I think is how we pronounce it. Went to class with Keaton Grant, Chris Kramer, and Etwan Moore for a semester. Can't believe it all started with Robbie Hummel and them. It absolutely did. And if you didn't get to watch Robbie Hummel with Kraig and Bobby Buckets, that show is still available to you. They talked Friday morning and had a really nice show. So some of it, probably is a little bit NC State talk, but it's still always fun to hear from Robbie Hummel. Shout out to those guys for jumping on. Matthew Gregory in the chat again. Eyeballing tickets for Monday. There you go, Matt. You got to come out. We're going to have some fun the next few days. I'm looking forward to it, my friend. Q Harlan, $2 super chat. Boiler up, bear down from Anderson, Indiana. I wonder what my guy Brian from Rensselaer is up to these days, guys. long way from there. Chris R. $1.99 super chat. Was that the action lawyer drew the charge on? I believe he's asking you, Joe.
I would have to go back and double check, but it sounds right off the top of my head that Zoom or the Chicago action that we just talked about. I would guess yes.
And lawyer got laid out at the end of the game. Laid out. It almost felt like DJ Horn almost a little bit of purpose to it because I think he was frustrated. And then the other thing we didn't talk about in terms of lawyer was one of the biggest plays of the game was hitting the three to end the first half. It was a 3-point game, and Fletcher Lawyer buries a three to make it 6. And all the difference in the world. He's done that a few times here in the tournament this year, and he just continues to show up. So big game, Fletch. Shout out to you. David Jenkins, take Mackey back to a raised court. What do you think, Craig?
No.
Yeah, I don't like it either. It's so awkward. Boiler suit in the chat. No crying. Nope, no crying today. I'm gonna start crying because I'm so tired, but no complaining here. We're living the dream here.
We need to get Bragg some food and a nap is what he needs.
Yeah, I know. I'm no complaining. I'm living the dream. Living the dream. But yeah, no crying today. Maybe some happy tears come Monday night. We'll see. I feel like I got it all out of my system in the Tennessee game. Stephen Nicholas, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you're alerted for the show after the championship game. We appreciate you, Stephen Nicholas, my mentor, producer at CHGO and CHGO Bears. He's a big reason why I'm able to get even better at what I'm trying to do in this media game, especially for producing aspects. And he's a really good friend and a really hard worker. So shout out to Steven. Love that dude. David Jenkins, mayhem is West Lafayette. And it felt like West Lafayette. What's that?
I was going to say, I think it's from Purdue Exponent. There's like people on stoplights at Grants and Northwestern.
What?
Oh yeah. It's mayhem down there right now. I can't imagine what it'll be like when Purdue wins.
Yes, that's wild. What's the matter? Are you watching video of this?
No.
Okay. Well, you're making noises.
I thought I saw something pop up and I was wrong, so we're good.
Okay, we're good. All right, so unless we got anything else, you guys got anything else you want to add? I mean, we're going to hit the preview show up tomorrow if there's anything we missed, but we got about 2.5 minutes left here in the first half of this game, so we can reset. So are you good, Craig? It looks like you're good.
I got one little thing.
I'm Gucci.
A quick thank you to everybody. We all covered our first Final Four game, which is insane. We're all going to cover our first national championship game, which is even more insane. And Boiler fans appreciate these next 48 to 50 hours. Who know? Like, we all think that Purdue's in a good spot to put themselves in positions to do this again and again, but we never know when. This is an elite team. You have the best player in the country in Zach Edey, one of the best players we've ever seen in the college level. Enjoy these next 50 hours because it's going to be a blast.
Yeah. No doubt. Don't make sure. I've been saying all season to make sure you enjoy the journey of this season and not to worry too much down the line. That journey took us all the way to here. And you got 48 more hours to soak it up. And regardless of what happens on Monday, been an incredible season. Obviously, we hope we get to celebrate it with a win. And if so, I promise all of you 100% guarantee you that we will get to see Greg cry again. So we're very excited about that. I've gotten a lot of play out of that video. It's gotten a lot of interaction. I appreciate it. So,
well, I'm proud of it. You guys are always going to get my raw emotion on this show from all of us and definitely from me. The man that wears my heart on my sleeve. And I've got a lot of love for you guys and this team and this fan base and what we're doing. And so you guys will continue to get all the emotions. Angry, mad, stupid, sad, every single one of them. So, all right. Well, that wraps things up here as UConn starts to separate a little bit here at the end of the first half, so we'll have to wait and see how the second half unfolds. But thank you to everybody that's tuned in once again. Make sure you hit that like button, like we said. If you're watching from Twitter or Facebook, obviously we really appreciate your support. But if you head over to YouTube and subscribe to Brags in the Stands, the network, and go into some of our shows and hit the like button, this one obviously the most recent, it'll just help the algorithm with what we do here, and that is the easiest way to support what we're doing and help us grow. And shout out to everybody that gave some super chats here. We appreciate the donation. And once again, shout out to Carousel, everybody that was working there, and everybody that came out to Carousel. Just want to get all my thanks in. And that wraps things up officially here on Boilers in the Stands. So we will see you tomorrow for a preview show. Stay tuned for the update on what time. Until then, enjoy this game. Enjoy the night. Your Purdue Boilermakers, ladies and gentlemen, are going to the national championship. Boiler up.
Heck yeah. Let's do it.
Let's do it.